Your mind has to be stronger than your feelings. Every day, you face moments when your emotions want to take control. When doubt, fear, or frustration try to stop you from moving forward. But the truth is, if you let your feelings decide your actions, you won't reach your goals. This video will show you how to build mental strength that outlasts those shifting emotions. You'll learn practical ways to take control, stay focused, and act with purpose, even when it feels hard. If you want to change your life, you have to start by mastering your mind. Keep watching, because what you're about to hear can help you push through tough times and keep moving toward your dreams, no matter what. Let's get started. Number 1. Control your reactions before emotions take control of you. Every day, things will happen that make you feel something strong. Someone will criticize you, and it'll sting. A plan you believed in will fall apart, and frustration will rise. You might feel ignored, rejected, unappreciated. These feelings are real. But what you do with them will determine what kind of person you become. That's where discipline steps in. You've got to learn to control how you react. Because if you don't, your emotions will take the lead. And when emotions lead, they rarely take you anywhere good. You can't control every situation. You can't control what others say, what happens at work, or the unexpected moments that throw your day off. But you can control your reaction. That's what gives you power. That's what makes you different. The person who reacts out of anger usually makes the problem worse. The one who panics when things go wrong often makes decisions that lead to regret. But the person who stays calm, who thinks before they speak or act, that person is on the path to strength and progress. Most people are stuck in a pattern. They feel something, and they act on it right away. They don't stop to question it. They don't slow down to think it through. But here's what you must understand. Feelings are fast. They hit you before you've had a chance to decide anything. And if you always follow the first feeling that shows up, you'll keep making the same mistakes again and again. You've got to interrupt that pattern. And it begins with awareness. You've got to notice when you're about to lose control. That moment when your tone rises, your chest tightens, your words get sharper. That's the warning sign. That's when you say to yourself, wait, hold on. Don't just react. Think this through. That pause, that few seconds of awareness can save you from saying something you regret. It can save a relationship, a career opportunity, or your peace of mind. There's strength in holding back. There's power in not reacting to everything that bothers you. You don't have to answer every insult. You don't have to explain yourself to everyone. You don't have to get pulled into every emotional moment. Your mind can rise above it, but only if you train it to. This isn't about being emotionless. It's not about pretending you don't feel anything. It's about being smart enough to recognize that your first reaction isn't always your best reaction. It's about giving yourself the space to choose how you want to handle things. Because once you react, you can't take it back. And too many people are living with regret because they let their feelings speak louder than their reason. Start paying attention to the situations where you lose control. Is it when someone criticizes you? When things don't go as planned? When you feel ignored? Those moments are your training ground. That's where you build emotional discipline. Not in the easy moments, but in the hard ones. When everything in you wants to yell or walk away, or shut down, that's the test. Can you stay calm? Can you stay focused? Can you respond instead of react? It's not easy. It takes repetition. You won't get it right every time. But every time you catch yourself and choose control, you become stronger. Every time you resist the urge to explode, you build character. And character is what leads to trust, to growth, to real success. You also need to work on your internal state before the storm comes. If you wait until you're angry to practice self-control, you're too late. You've got to prepare yourself daily. Start your day with quiet time. Journal your thoughts. Read something that centers your mind. Reflect on your goals. Build a clear picture of who you want to become. Because when your mind is full of purpose, it's harder for emotions to knock you off course. Sometimes your feelings will tell you to quit. They'll tell you it's too hard, or you're not good enough. And in that moment, if your mind isn't stronger, you'll believe it. You'll walk away from something that could have changed your life. That's what happens when emotions control your choices. But if your mind is strong, if you've trained it to think clearly and stay grounded, you'll keep going. You'll push through. You'll say to yourself, this is tough, but I can handle it. That kind of strength, mental strength, it's not given, it's built. It's built through small choices. It's built through how you show up when things don't go your way. It's built through how you treat people, even when they don't treat you well. It's built through the effort you give when you don't feel like it. Those moments are what separate the weak from the strong. Not because the strong never feel emotion, but because they don't let it take over. Ask yourself right now, are you proud of how you react when things don't go your way? Are you proud of how you speak when you're under pressure? If the answer is no, then you've got work to do. But that's a good thing, because awareness is the first. The moment you realize you're not where you want to be, you can start doing something about it. Start small. Next time you feel that emotional wave rising, pause. Don't speak right away. Don't make a decision in the heat of the moment. Take a breath. Walk away, if you have to. Give yourself a chance to think. That simple step can change everything. It gives you time to choose. And when you choose your response, instead of reacting automatically, you're in control. You've won that moment. Over time, you'll start to feel different, stronger, more steady. You won't be thrown off by every challenge. You won't get pulled into every drama. You'll start to rise above the noise, and people will notice. They'll respect your calm. They'll trust your judgment. They'll follow your lead. It all starts with that simple truth. Your mind has to be stronger than your feelings. If you want to grow, if you want to lead, if you want to live with peace and purpose, you can't let emotions take the wheel. You've got to guide your life with discipline, with awareness, with strength, not because it's easy, but because it's necessary. Because without that control, life will keep throwing you off course. But with it, you stay steady. You stay moving forward. You stay in charge. Number 2, make decisions based on logic, not mood swings. There will always be moments in life when your emotions are loud. You'll feel disappointed, frustrated, anxious, or angry. In those moments, the easiest thing to do is react quickly. Say something without thinking. Make a decision, just to feel better. Walk away from something important, because it feels uncomfortable right now. But those are the decisions that often cost you the most. If you want to build a life that works, if you want peace, progress, and real direction, then you have to stop letting mood swings guide your choices. Logic must come first. Even when your feelings are screaming, strong emotions don't always lead to wise actions. You might feel like quitting your job after a bad meeting. You might feel like ending a relationship after a disagreement. You might feel like buying something expensive to escape a stressful day. But every one of those choices, made in the heat of the moment, carries long-term consequences. And if you keep making emotional decisions, you'll keep cleaning up emotional messes. You've got to stop and ask, is this decision rooted in reason, or is it just how I feel right now? The truth is, feelings change. They can rise and fall within minutes. You might feel irritated in the morning and calm by noon. You might feel discouraged today and confident tomorrow. But if you make big choices during those emotional highs or lows, you risk creating permanent problems out of temporary states. That's why logic matters. It grounds you. It forces you to look at facts, timelines, priorities, and outcomes. It gives you a way to step outside the emotion and see the full picture. Making logical decisions doesn't mean ignoring your feelings. It means not letting them be the only voice in the room. You can acknowledge what you feel, but then you have to step back and ask yourself, What is the smart move here? What lines up with my long-term goals? What protects my values, my time, and my future? That's what mature decision-making looks like. It's steady. It's thoughtful. It doesn't chase relief. It chases results. One of the best ways to train yourself in this is to create space between feeling and action. Don't speak the moment you're upset. Don't decide something big when you're tired or overwhelmed. Write it down. Think it through. Sleep on it. Come back to it with a clearer mind. If it still makes sense the next day, then act on it. But if the emotional intensity has faded and the decision seems less urgent, you've just saved yourself from a reaction you would have regretted. People who learn to lead with logic earn respect. Others trust them because they stay consistent. They don't flip-flop based on moods. They don't panic under pressure. They stay grounded. That kind of behavior makes people want to follow you, work with you, rely on you. Because logic is stable, emotion is unpredictable, and nobody wants to build a foundation on something unstable. There's another important reason to make decisions based on logic. It helps you stay aligned with who you want to become. When you choose based on emotion, you often serve your present comfort instead of your future growth. You choose the easy road instead of the right one. You avoid the hard conversation, the tough discipline, the necessary sacrifice. But when you stop and think, when you weigh the cost and the outcome, you'll usually choose the option that leads to growth, even if it's hard. A strong life is not built on emotional reactions. It's built on repeated wise choices. Day after day, week after week, you keep showing up. You keep doing what needs to be done. You don't chase how you feel. You build what you've decided is right. That's what separates those who move forward from those who stay stuck. It's not who feels more. It's who thinks better. It's who learns to manage their mind instead of obeying every mood. You've got to be honest with yourself. Ask, am I making this decision because it's logical or because I'm uncomfortable and trying to escape it? That level of self-awareness is powerful. It keeps you from letting fear, anger, or doubt take the wheel. And if you build a habit of asking that one question, over time, your choices will start looking different, stronger, smarter, more consistent with the life you're trying to create. This kind of thinking is especially important when pressure is high. When things go wrong or plans fall apart, your feelings will be intense. That's when poor decisions show up most often. But that's also your greatest opportunity to practice restraint, to slow down and look at your options, to ask yourself what the best next step is, not the easiest. If you can stay calm in those moments, if you can think when everyone else is reacting, you'll become someone people turn to in chaos. That's influence. That's real maturity. Your emotions aren't your enemy, but they also aren't your advisor. They are signals. They give you insight, but logic gives you direction. Let your emotions inform you, but let logic decide. That's how you build confidence in your own judgment. That's how you stop second-guessing yourself. Because when your decisions are rooted in thought, in planning, in purpose, you don't need to wonder if you made the right move. You know it, because it wasn't just a moment of feeling. It was a moment of clarity. Make it a rule in your life. No important decision gets made in a storm. If your mind is clouded, if your feelings are heavy, step back. Delay it. Protect your future by not letting your present mood shape it. You don't owe the world a quick reaction. You owe yourself a smart one. Take that responsibility seriously. This is how you rise, not by avoiding emotion, but by guiding it, by stepping into each choice with a clear mind, by asking the right questions, seeking the right answers, and holding yourself to a higher standard. Logic must lead. Feelings can follow, but they don't get to drive. Not if you want to stay on course. Not if you want to lead a life you're proud of. Not if you're serious about becoming who you're meant to be. Number 3. Train your mind daily through discipline and habits. Your mind is the starting point of everything. How you think shapes how you act, and how you act shapes where your life goes. If you want better outcomes, you need a stronger mind. But that kind of mental strength doesn't appear on its own. It's not a gift. It's not automatic. It's something you build with discipline and daily habits. Just like your body needs training to get strong, your mind needs structure, repetition, and effort every single day. You don't get to do it once in a while and expect results. It takes showing up for yourself over and over again, whether you feel like it or not. Discipline is the foundation. Without it, nothing lasts. Motivation fades. Excitement comes and goes, but discipline stays. It's what pushes you forward when your energy is low. It's what helps you keep your word to yourself. It's what builds trust within your own mind. Because the truth is, if your mind doesn't believe you'll follow through, you'll never have the confidence to start something hard. You've got to show your mind that you're dependable, that you mean what you say. That happens through your habits. That happens through repeated follow-through. One of the most powerful habits you can build is to take charge of the first hour of your day. The moment you wake up, your mind is open. It's receiving. It's vulnerable to influence. That's when you feed it something strong. Read something that challenges you. Write down your goals. Reflect on what you want to accomplish. These small actions may seem minor, but they're training your brain to focus, to think intentionally, to push past distractions. You're setting the tone for how the rest of the day will unfold. If you start the day with purpose, it becomes harder to drift through the hours. Another important habit is doing something uncomfortable every day. It doesn't have to be huge. It could be waking up a bit earlier, finishing a task you've been avoiding, or holding yourself accountable to a commitment you made. When you lean into discomfort, you remind your mind that it can do hard things, and that lesson sticks. The more often you do what's difficult, the easier it becomes to act, despite resistance. That's how you stretch your capacity. That's how you build a mindset that doesn't crumble when life gets tough. You also need to protect your mental diet. What you feed your brain matters. If you constantly consume negativity, chaos, and drama, your thinking will mirror that. You need to be deliberate about what you watch, what you listen to, and who you surround yourself with. Your environment is shaping your thoughts every day, whether you notice it or not. Choose inputs that sharpen you. Seek people who challenge your growth. Read things that elevate your thinking. Make it a priority to fill your mind with content that supports the kind of life you want to live. Consistency is the difference maker. Training your mind once in a while won't build anything solid. It has to become a routine, something you do no matter how you feel. Just like brushing your teeth or eating meals, mental training becomes part of your lifestyle. You don't skip it because you're tired. You don't delay it because you're busy. You treat it as non-negotiable. And the more consistent you become, the more natural it feels. Eventually, you don't have to force it. You just do it. That's when you know your discipline is paying off. Tracking your behavior can also keep you sharp. When you write down what you did each day, what you stuck to, what you let slip, you gain clarity. You see pattern. You recognize where you're falling short. You become more aware of how your habits are shaping your results. And with that awareness, you can adjust. You can correct. You can tighten up where you've been loose. Self-accountability isn't always comfortable, but it's necessary. Because if you're not measuring your growth, you're guessing. And guessing doesn't lead to change. One habit that sharpens your thinking is reflection. Take a few minutes at the end of each day to ask, what did I learn today? What challenged me? Where did I react instead of responding? These questions help you develop self-awareness. They train your brain to think critically, to analyze rather than just absorb. When you reflect, you process experience into wisdom. And wisdom is what gives you a strong edge in how you handle future challenges. You also need to challenge your thoughts regularly. Don't accept every belief that shows up in your head. Ask yourself, is this helping me or hurting me? A trained mind doesn't believe everything it feels. It questions. It tests. It replaces weak thoughts with stronger ones. That doesn't happen naturally. It comes from practice, from repetition, from a daily commitment to sharpening the way you think. The people who rise in life are not the ones who never struggle. They're the ones who build habits that carry them through struggle. They're the ones who don't leave their mindset to chance. They prepare, they train, they sharpen, even when no one is watching, even when the payoff isn't immediate. They understand that the mind is the control center. If it's weak, everything else suffers. If it's strong, everything else has a chance to grow. You don't need hours a day to build a stronger mind. You just need intention. You need repetition. You need to decide that you won't keep living life reacting to everything around you. You're going to create habits that center you. You're going to show up for yourself, even when it's inconvenient. That's what turns discipline into a mindset. That's what makes your thinking sharp, stable, and focused under pressure. And the result of all this work, you become someone you can rely on. Someone who doesn't fold under stress. Someone who doesn't chase comfort but chooses progress. That kind of person earns respect, not just from others but from themselves. And when you respect yourself, you carry yourself differently. You walk into challenges with a sense of readiness. You speak with clarity. You act with purpose. Not because you feel like it, but because your habits have trained your mind to do what needs to be done. There's no shortcut to this kind of growth. It's daily. It's slow. But it's real. Every small act of discipline adds up. Every focused habit compounds. And before you know it, the way you think becomes your strength, not your weakness. You stop being thrown off by small things. You stop falling apart when things don't go your way, because you've done the work. You've trained your mind, and now it works for you, not against you. Number 4, stick to your goals, even when motivation fades. Most people start strong, when the idea is new, when the plan is fresh, motivation is high. The energy feels automatic. You wake up ready. You act quickly. You believe in the process. But that won't last. It never does. Motivation always drops. That's just how it works. Life gets in the way. You get tired. You feel doubt. Progress seems slow. It gets harder to keep going. And this is where most people give up. Not because their goal was impossible, but because they relied on a feeling to carry them through. But real achievement doesn't come from being excited. It comes from staying committed when you're not. If you only move when you feel like it, you'll never finish. You'll start and stop. You'll shift from one idea to another. You'll keep searching for something easier. But everything worth doing requires patience and consistency. It demands discipline, especially when the spark is gone. You've got to learn to keep showing up, even when it's boring, even when you're unsure, even when the reward feels far away. That's when your goal starts to become real. When it's no longer driven by mood but by purpose. The truth is, sticking to your goals requires a decision that doesn't change with your emotions. You decide once, and then you honor that decision with your action. Even on the days when your energy is low, even when nobody is cheering you on, even when progress feels invisible. Because if you quit every time you feel discouraged, your future depends on something unstable. But if you stay consistent, no matter how you feel, your future depends on your effort. And that's something you can control. There are days when your goal will feel distant. You'll question yourself. You'll wonder if it's even possible. That's normal. But those thoughts don't mean you stop. You don't need perfect confidence to keep going. You need a plan. You need a reason. You need to look back at why you started. You made a commitment for a reason. Something inside you wanted better. And that reason doesn't disappear just because motivation did. You've got to remember that your goal wasn't built for convenience. It was built for growth. Create structure that keeps you moving. Don't depend on motivation. Set daily standards. Build systems that support your goal. Break it down into small actions you can take even when you're not feeling your best. Focus on what's in front of you. Don't worry about the entire journey. Just win the next task. Just complete the next hour. Progress lives in those small victories, not in bursts of emotion. The people who succeed are the ones who learn to push through those low-energy days without making excuses. Another key is to separate your emotions from your identity. You might feel lazy, but that doesn't mean you are. You might feel uncertain, but that doesn't mean you're not capable. Learn to observe those feelings without obeying them. Let them pass. Don't let them decide the day. You're building something long-term. You're training yourself to be dependable. That means your actions must stand on something stronger than mood. It also helps to track your progress. When motivation drops, it's easy to forget how far you've come. Write down your efforts. Look at what you've already done. Let that remind you that progress is happening, even if it's slower than you expected. Progress doesn't always feel exciting, but that doesn't mean it's not real. Sometimes it's quiet, sometimes it's steady, but it adds up, one solid day after another. That's how momentum is built. Avoid the trap of chasing quick results. Goals take time. Mastery takes time. Real change takes repetition. If you keep expecting everything to feel exciting, you'll keep quitting. You've got to accept that not every step will feel inspiring. Some days will feel like work. Some days will feel like routine. But those are the days that separate the dreamers from the finish. Because if you only move when the feeling is right, you'll never reach the finish line. But if you commit to the work, even on the slow days, you'll wake up one day and realize you've come much farther than you thought. Protect your mindset by limiting distraction. If you're always looking at what others are doing, comparing their pace to yours, you'll start feeling behind. That pressure can make you want to quit. Focus on your lane. Your journey has its own timing. Stick to your process. Review your goals often. Remind yourself of your mission. Keep your focus inward, and stay committed to the process you've chosen. External noise will always try to pull you away from your path. You've got to decide what matters more, your feelings in the moment, or the future you're building. You also need people who hold you accountable. Not people who always make you feel good, but people who remind you of your standards. People who call you out when you slip. People who believe in your potential enough to push you when you slow down. You can't rely on motivation alone, but you can borrow strength from your environment. Surround yourself with voices that speak truth, not just comfort. When your energy is low, let their belief help you stay steady. Create rituals that keep your goal visible. Write it on your wall. Speak it every morning. Review it at night. Keep it in front of you. The more you see it, the harder it is to forget. And when you're reminded daily, it becomes part of your mindset. It becomes something you protect, something you prioritize. That kind of mental connection is more powerful than motivation. It's rooted in purpose. When motivation fades, that's not failure. That's part of the process. That's when the work becomes real. That's when your goal tests your commitment. Will you keep going without applause? Will you push forward without excitement? That's what shapes character. That's what builds confidence. Not in your emotions, but in your consistency. Sticking to your goal doesn't require perfection. You will have off days. You'll fall short sometimes. But you don't throw the goal away because of one setback. You adjust. You get back up. You remember the mission and you recommit. That's discipline. That's growth. You train your mind to stay on course, no matter how your emotions swing. And when you do that often enough, the habit becomes stronger than the feeling. The standard becomes stronger than the excuse. And the result, you keep moving, no matter what. Number 5. Choose consistency when your feelings beg to quit. There will be days when everything inside you tells you to stop. Your energy will be low. Your confidence will take a hit. You'll question the reason you started. Progress will feel slow. The outcome will seem distant, and your emotions will start creating excuses. You'll hear things in your mind. like it's too much. It's not working. Maybe this isn't for me. But in those moments, you have to understand what's really happening. Your feelings are reacting to discomfort, uncertainty, and effort. They're not offering direction. They're offering escape. That's why you can't listen to them when they start shouting for comfort. You've got to choose consistency. Success doesn't belong to the most emotional. It belongs to the most consistent. Feelings change by the hour, but the work doesn't change. The habits don't change. The plan doesn't change just because you don't feel like it today. You still have to show up. You still have to do the next step. If you let every feeling decide your action, your life will constantly be in pieces. But if you learn to keep doing what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like it, that's when you build power. Not flashy power, but real inner strength. Consistency is quiet. It's not dramatic. It's not always exciting, but it keeps moving forward. You might not notice big changes every day, but something is happening. You're developing reliability. You're building mental structure. You're training your mind to stay focused, regardless of how the day feels. And that type of focus separates those who finish from those who almost made it. It's easy to stay committed when everything feels right. It's much harder when nothing feels right, but you stick with it anyway. The people who go far aren't the ones who always feel inspired. They're the ones who make their actions non-negotiable. They don't wait for motivation to strike. They build systems. They set a time. They follow a schedule, and they protect their habits because they know emotions are unreliable. You can wake up feeling great and still lose your focus by the afternoon. But if you've built a structure that you trust, you can lean on it when you're tired, when you're stressed, when you just want to give up. You've got to learn to act from standards, not feeling. Your standard might be, I write every day. I train 5 days a week. I stick to my routine, no matter what. When that's your baseline, your feelings become less powerful. They don't control the outcome. They're just part of the process. And when they show up with doubt or discomfort, you keep going anyway. Not because it's easy, but because you've made a decision that feelings don't get to interrupt. There's a mental shift that has to happen. You stop asking, do I feel like it today? And start saying, what needs to be done today? That shift puts you in charge. It reminds you that emotions are temporary, but your direction isn't. You don't need to feel strong to be consistent. You just need to honor the decision you made before the discomfort showed up. You keep going, even with low energy, even with frustration in your chest, even when you'd rather do something else. That's how you earn growth. You won't always see the results right away. That's another reason people quit. They show up for a while, but when nothing big happens, they start wondering if it's even worth it. That's your feelings talking again. That's impatience trying to interrupt your process. But every time you stay consistent without visible results, you're proving to yourself that you're doing this for the right reasons. You're building something bigger than quick rewards. You're developing a foundation that can support bigger results in the future. Your feelings will offer you shortcuts. They'll try to pull you toward comfort. They'll try to convince you that tomorrow will be better, that you should take a break now and figure it out later. But you've got to remind yourself that later becomes never when you keep delaying. Consistency doesn't depend on excitement. It depends on resolve. It depends on your ability to see the long game and trust the process. Even when it's quiet, even when it's repetitive, you've got to build rituals that reinforce your goals. Don't leave your routine to chance. Don't hope you'll feel like doing the work. Design your day around your commitments. Decide when and how you'll take action, and then protect that space. Let your life revolve around the system you've built for your progress. That's what keeps you grounded when everything else feels unstable. That's what you lean on when your emotions try to interrupt your direction. It's not about forcing perfection every day. You'll have off days. You'll mess up, that's normal. But consistency isn't about being perfect. It's about returning to the work again and again, no matter how many times you fall short. It's about saying, I'm not quitting, even when the results aren't clear. That level of discipline turns a scattered life into a focused one. It gives your mind structure. It gives your actions purpose. And it gives your efforts a chance to compound. Over time, consistency rewires your thinking. You stop looking for permission to act. You stop waiting to feel ready. You just do the work. That mindset takes over. And suddenly, things that once felt hard become normal. What used to drain you now sharpens you. You stop fearing the grind because you've learned how to move through it. That's what discipline does. It removes the emotional chaos from your routine and replaces it with clarity. You've got to ask yourself, what do I want more? Comfort today or progress over time? That question reveals the truth. You can't have both. You either choose to keep showing up through discomfort, or you choose to start over again and again chasing motivation. One builds resilience, the other builds regret. Every time you push through the urge to stop, you build strength. You prove to yourself that you're capable of following through, and that belief grows. It becomes the fuel for even bigger goals. Consistency is your edge, not speed, not intensity, just steady, repeated effort. That's what builds momentum. That's what transforms a weak mind into a focused one. Every day you act when it's hard. Every time you complete the task without waiting for inspiration, you separate yourself from the crowd. Because most people quit when they don't feel good. But you keep going. And that's why you... Number 6. Follow your schedule, not your changing emotions. Your emotions shift like the weather. One moment you're energized, the next you feel drained. Some days you wake up confident, other days doubtful. If you allow these feelings to control what you do, your progress will be unpredictable. Success doesn't come from chasing how you feel. It comes from committing to a plan and following it, no matter what. A schedule gives you structure. It's a roadmap through the chaos of emotion. When you follow a schedule, you take control of your day instead of letting your feelings decide for you. Emotions are temporary. They don't last. They rise and fall based on circumstances, physical state, and even the weather. If you make decisions based on those shifts, you'll spend your life on a roller coaster. One day, you're productive and focused. The next, you're distracted and lazy. That kind of inconsistency never leads anywhere meaningful. Your schedule is your anchor. It's what keeps you steady, even when your emotions threaten to pull you off course. A schedule doesn't just organize your time. It trains your mind. It teaches you to show up regularly. It turns effort into habit. When you get used to following a plan, your mind expects action. It builds a pattern of discipline that becomes easier over time. You won't have to wrestle with motivation each day because your schedule will guide you. It removes the question, do I feel like it today, and replaces it with what's next on my plan. Many people confuse productivity with motivation. They think if they don't feel inspired, they shouldn't work. That's a dangerous trap. Motivation is fickle. It doesn't reliably show up on schedule. If you wait for it, you'll never finish what you start. The difference between those who succeed and those who fail is simple. The successful follow their schedule, regardless of their feelings. They understand that feelings come and go, but the work remains. Creating a schedule means setting clear priorities. When you plan your day, you decide what matters most. You choose the tasks that align with your goals. This clarity reduces distractions and decision fatigue. Instead of wondering what to do next, your schedule lays it out. This helps your mind stay focused, and it cuts down on wasted time. The more you follow your schedule, the more progress you make, even on days when you feel tired or overwhelmed. Sometimes your emotions will tell you to skip tasks or delay important work. You might feel overwhelmed or anxious, and your mind will try to protect you by convincing you to rest or avoid stress. That's natural. But if you always listen to that voice, you'll lose momentum. You've got to recognize when your feelings are trying to slow you down unnecessarily. Your schedule becomes your discipline. It pushes you forward when your feelings try to hold you back. One way to stick to your schedule is to break your day into manageable chunks. Large projects or goals can feel daunting when you face them all at once. But when your schedule breaks them down into smaller steps, they become doable. You can tackle a little bit at a time. That approach reduces resistance and makes it easier to stay consistent, even when your enthusiasm fades. Small wins build momentum, and momentum keeps your mind engaged. Another benefit of following your schedule is that it builds trust between you and yourself. When you consistently meet your planned commitments, you prove to yourself that you're reliable. This self-trust fuels confidence. You stop doubting your ability to follow through. You gain control over your day and your future. The more you honor your schedule, the stronger this trust becomes, and that makes sticking to your goals easier. Your schedule also protects you from distractions and impulsive decisions. When you have a plan, it's easier to say no to things that don't align with your goals. You don't get pulled into unplanned activities or lose time scrolling on your phone. Your schedule keeps you focused on what really matters. It creates boundaries that preserve your energy and attention. Without that structure, your day can quickly get hijacked by anything that grabs your attention. It's important to create a schedule that's realistic and flexible enough to adjust when necessary. Life isn't perfect. Unexpected things will happen, but having a plan gives you a baseline to return to. When interruptions occur, you can reschedule and keep moving forward instead of abandoning your progress altogether. The key is to treat your schedule as a commitment to yourself, not as a rigid prison. That mindset keeps you accountable and adaptable at the same time. When emotions run high, stress, fear, excitement, or doubt, your schedule becomes your anchor. It helps you avoid impulsive reactions and keeps you focused on your purpose. Even if you feel frustrated or distracted, your schedule reminds you where you're going and what steps you need to take. It breaks down overwhelming feelings into manageable action, making it easier to stay on track. One mistake many people make is overloading their schedule with too much at once. When your plan feels impossible, it becomes a source of stress rather than support. Your mind rebels. You lose motivation. To avoid this, build your schedule around your actual energy levels and capacity. Prioritize the most important tasks and leave space for rest and reflection. A balanced schedule respects your humanity while pushing you toward progress. Your schedule can also include time for habits that improve your mental strength, like reading, meditation, or exercise. These activities prepare your mind to follow the plan and stay disciplined. When you schedule self-care alongside work, your mind stays sharper and more resilient. You're less likely to give in to emotional distractions when you're physically and mentally prepared. Following your schedule is an act of respect for yourself. It's choosing to take control of your life rather than letting emotions dictate your day. It's a way of saying, I value my goals, my time, and my potential. Each time you stick to your plan despite changing feelings, you strengthen your ability to lead your own life. You build a mindset that thrives on structure and purpose, rather than mood. There will always be moments when you feel restless or unmotivated. That's natural. But the power lies in your choice to follow your schedule anyway. That choice separates the people who dream from the people who achieve. The dreamers wait for the right feeling. The achievers create their own momentum by committing to the plan. You get to decide which group you belong to. Your schedule is a tool that empowers you. It keeps you moving forward, even when feelings want to pull you back. When you commit to your schedule, you build a life that doesn't depend on how you feel in the moment. You build momentum that grows stronger every day. That's how you turn your vision into reality. Number 7, focus on what matters, not how you feel. In life, your feelings will always fluctuate. One moment, you might feel motivated and confident. The next, overwhelmed and doubtful. If you let those changing feelings decide your actions, you'll never make steady progress. The key to success is learning to focus on what truly matters, regardless of how you feel. What matters are your goals, your values, and the steps you must take. Feelings are temporary. They are signals, not commands. When you put your attention on what matters, you train your mind to act with purpose, even when emotions try to pull you off course. When you focus on feelings, you give power to distractions. A bad mood can stop you from working. Frustration can make you quit halfway. Anxiety can freeze your progress. But when your focus is on the essential tasks, you keep moving forward. You understand that feelings will always try to convince you to avoid discomfort. But growth only happens when you push through that discomfort. It's like steering a ship through rough seas. You keep your eyes on the destination, not the waves around you. Prioritizing what matters means knowing your why. Why are you doing what you do? What are you working toward? When that reason is clear, it pulls your attention away from momentary feelings and toward your bigger purpose. You'll face days when motivation is low or when distractions are loud. But if your why is strong enough, it keeps your focus steady. It reminds you that your feelings don't have the final say. Your commitment does. A big part of focusing on what matters is making decisions that align with your goals. Not every feeling deserves your attention or your time. You'll have impulses to procrastinate, to avoid hard work, or to seek comfort. Those impulses are natural, but they don't serve your progress. When you learn to recognize these feelings and set them aside, you build discipline. Discipline is your ability to do what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like it. This kind of focus also demands clear boundaries. When you know what matters, you can say no to distractions more easily. You protect your time and energy. You stop wasting hours on things that don't contribute to your goals. This clarity gives your mind space to concentrate on productive action, rather than wandering aimlessly based on shifting emotions. Boundaries keep your attention where it needs to be. A focused mind also practices present. It gives full attention to the task at hand, instead of letting feelings or worries pull it away. When you're fully present, you work with greater efficiency and quality. You reduce mistakes and wasted effort. That presence becomes a habit that deepens your focus over time, making it easier to ignore emotional noise. It's important to remember that feelings aren't enemies. They are part of your experience, but they're not the boss. You can acknowledge them without letting them control you. When you feel anxious, tired, or discouraged, recognize those feelings and then gently bring your focus back to what matters. This practice trains your mind to move from reaction to action. You also build focus by breaking down your goals into small, manageable tasks. Large goals can feel overwhelming and trigger avoidance feelings. But when you simplify what matters into clear steps, your mind knows exactly what to do next. This clarity reduces emotional resistance and makes it easier to stay on track. You focus on one thing at a time, and that single-mindedness creates momentum. Reviewing your progress regularly helps maintain your focus. When you see the results of your effort, it strengthens your commitment to what matters. It shifts your attention from feelings to facts. Facts about what you've achieved and how far you've come. Those facts inspire you to keep going, even when your emotions want to pull you away. Focus also means controlling your environment. Surround yourself with reminders of your goals and remove distractions that feed emotional impulses. Use tools like calendars, to-do lists, and goal trackers to keep what matters in front of you. The less you have to rely on willpower, the more you build habits that maintain your focus automatically. Sometimes feelings like fear or doubt will try to hijack your attention. When that happens, refocus by asking yourself simple questions. What is the next right action? What step moves me closer to my goal? Am I reacting or responding? These questions shift your mind away from emotion and toward practical choices. The more you practice this, the easier it becomes to keep your focus steady. Strong focus builds resilience. When you focus on what matters, you become less vulnerable to setbacks and distractions. You see obstacles as part of the process, rather than signs to quit. This perspective gives you the strength to persevere, even when feelings pull you in different directions. Your future depends on how well you can keep your mind on what matters today. Feelings will always try to convince you otherwise, but your success is determined by your ability to act despite those feelings. Each choice to focus on what matters is a step toward the life you want. It's not about eliminating feelings. It's about not letting them derail you. This skill grows with practice. The more often you choose focus over feeling, the stronger your mental muscle becomes. You'll notice you get more done, feel less overwhelmed, and gain greater confidence in your ability to handle life's ups and downs. Focus becomes your default mode, and feelings become background noise. You have the power to decide where your attention goes. You can listen to your feelings and let them control your day, or you can focus on what matters and create progress no matter what. The choice is yours every moment. The more you choose focus, the closer you move to the person you want to be and the life you want to live. Number 8, stay committed, even when it gets uncomfortable. Life rarely rewards those who only act when things feel easy or comfortable. True progress happens in the space where discomfort lives. It's in those moments of uncertainty, challenge, and even pain that your commitment is tested. Commitment means holding steady when your body wants to rest, when your mind wants to quit, and when your emotions scream for relief. Staying committed through discomfort is what separates those who achieve their goals from those who only dream about them. Discomfort is part of growth. Whenever you try something new or push yourself beyond your limits, discomfort will show up. It might look like fatigue, frustration, or self-doubt. These feelings can be overwhelming, but they are not signs that you should stop. They are signs that you are working. They are signals that your mind and body are adapting. Embracing discomfort means recognizing it as a necessary step on the road to success. Many people avoid discomfort because it feels unpleasant. It's natural to seek comfort and security. But if you only choose comfort, your life will stay exactly where it is. Comfort zones are traps. They keep you small and stuck. Staying committed means stepping out of those zones again and again. It means saying yes to challenges even when you want to say no. It means focusing on the end result rather than the temporary struggle. Commitment doesn't require you to be fearless. It requires you to be willing to act despite fear. Fear and discomfort often come together. You might fear failure, rejection, or the unknown. These fears can create resistance inside you. But commitment is about moving forward anyway. When you act in spite of discomfort, you build courage. That courage strengthens over time and makes the next challenge easier to face. Discomfort also tests your patience. Progress is rarely instant. It often feels slow and frustrating. When results don't come quickly, it's tempting to quit. But staying committed means trusting the process, even when it doesn't feel like it's working. You choose to keep putting in the effort because you believe the payoff will come. That trust is built through consistent action, not feelings. One way to maintain commitment is to break big challenges into smaller, manageable tasks. When you focus on one step at a time, discomfort feels less overwhelming. You can measure progress more easily, which helps you stay motivated. This approach also reduces the chance of burnout because you're not trying to do everything at once. Small wins build confidence and encourage you to keep going, even when it's tough. It's important to remember that discomfort doesn't last forever. When you push through it, you enter a new level of strength and skill. Your mind adapts. Your body adjusts. The situation changes. If you give up as soon as discomfort hits, you miss out on growth. But if you stay committed, you move through the discomfort and reach new heights. That's where transformation happens. Staying committed also means being honest with yourself. When you feel like quitting, ask why. Are you tired or overwhelmed? Are you lacking clear goals or support? Sometimes discomfort signals that you need to adjust your plan or take care of yourself better. Commitment is not about stubbornly pushing forward without reason. It's about staying focused while also being flexible enough to make smart changes when necessary. Support from others can make a big difference when discomfort feels heavy. Surround yourself with people who encourage your commitment. Find mentors, friends, or groups who understand the challenges and cheer you on. Sharing your struggles helps lighten the burden and reminds you that discomfort is part of the journey for everyone. Connection strengthens resolve. Celebrate progress along the way. Every time you push through discomfort, recognize it. Give yourself credit for sticking to your commitment, even when it was hard. These moments of celebration remind your mind that discomfort is linked to achievement, not failure. This association makes it easier to face discomfort in the future. When discomfort arises, focus on your purpose. Remember why you started and what you want to achieve. Your purpose is the fuel that keeps commitment alive. It pulls you through moments when your feelings want to quit. A clear purpose shifts your focus from pain to progress, from struggle to meaning. Commitment becomes easier over time as it turns into a habit. The more often you choose to stay with discomfort, the stronger your mental endurance becomes. You learn that discomfort is not a stop sign, but a checkpoint. Each time you move past it, your capacity for growth expands. This strength becomes a part of who you are. You have the power to decide how you respond to discomfort. You can let it stop you, or you can let it push you forward. Choosing to stay committed means choosing progress over ease, growth over comfort, and courage over fear. That choice shapes your future and transforms your life. When you commit to staying with discomfort, you build a mindset that refuses to quit. You develop resilience that carries you through hard times. You create momentum that propels you forward, no matter what. This kind of commitment is not about perfection. It's about persistence, patience, and faith in yourself. Discomfort will always be a part of any worthwhile journey. The difference is whether you allow it to break you or whether you let it make you stronger. Staying committed, even when it gets uncomfortable, is how you unlock your potential and move closer to your dreams every single day. Number 9, think long-term when emotions push for shortcuts. The temptation to take shortcuts is one of the biggest challenges you will face on the path to success. When emotions run high, when you feel frustrated, impatient, or overwhelmed, your mind looks for an easier way. It wants quick fixes and fast results. But shortcuts rarely lead to lasting achievement. They might offer temporary relief or speed, but they come with hidden costs. Thinking long-term means seeing beyond the immediate urge and focusing on what will truly build your future. Emotions often trick you into believing that skipping steps or cutting corners is smart. You might think, if I just take this easier path, I'll get there faster. That feeling is powerful because it offers relief from discomfort or hard work. But if you give in to it, you risk losing the foundation you need for real success. Shortcuts can lead to mistakes, missed lessons, and weak results. They often cost more in the long run because you have to fix problems or start over. Long-term thinking requires patience. It means accepting that meaningful progress takes time. You must be willing to put in consistent effort, day after day, even when the reward isn't immediate. This patience is not weakness or passivity. It's strength. It's a commitment to your bigger vision and a refusal to be distracted by short-term desires. When you think long-term, you see the bigger picture and refuse to sacrifice your future for temporary comfort. One way to develop long-term thinking is to visualize your future regularly. Picture the life you want, the success you're aiming for, and the person you want to become. Hold that vision in your mind. When emotions push you toward shortcuts, remind yourself of that vision. Ask, will this choice help me get closer to that future, or will it set me back? This practice keeps your focus on what truly matters and helps you resist the temptation to take the easy way out. Another important aspect is understanding that shortcuts often bypass essential growth. Every step in a process builds skills, knowledge, and experience. When you try to rush or skip steps, you miss these crucial opportunities. Growth isn't just about the end result. It's about becoming capable of handling bigger challenges. The long path develops your character and resilience. Shortcuts tend to produce fragile success that falls apart when tested. It's helpful to think of success as a marathon, not a sprint. You wouldn't try to run 26 miles without training. You wouldn't skip practice and expect to win. The same applies to any goal. Taking shortcuts is like trying to skip training day. It might feel like progress at first, but you're not building the endurance or strength needed to finish. Long-term thinking means committing to the process, building your capacity, and preparing yourself for the entire journey. When emotions push you toward shortcuts, it's often because you feel stuck or discouraged. You might feel like you're not moving fast enough or that the work is too hard. These feelings are natural, but they're not signals to quit or cheat the system. Instead, they are signals to adjust your mindset. Remind yourself that frustration is part of growth. Lean into the discomfort rather than avoid it. Real progress requires persistence, not escape. A powerful tool to combat shortcut urges is setting clear milestones. Break your long-term goals into smaller, achievable targets. Celebrate when you reach each one. This approach provides regular motivation and a sense of progress. It shows you that success is not about rushing, but about steady advancement. These milestones help your mind stay patient because you see that the long-term goal is being built piece by piece. Accountability also supports long-term thinking. Share your goals and plans with someone who will check in on your progress. When you know someone else is watching, you're less likely to take shortcuts or make impulsive decisions. Accountability creates an external commitment that strengthens your internal discipline. It reminds you that your choices affect more than just yourself. It's essential to build habits that support the long game. Habits are the actions you take without thinking. When your daily habits align with your long-term vision, you automatically move forward. Habits reduce the impact of emotional impulses because they become part of your routine. Focus on habits that improve your skills, health, mindset, and productivity. Over time, these habits compound and create unstoppable momentum. Recognize that setbacks and slow progress are part of any worthwhile journey. When emotions tempt you to find shortcuts, remind yourself that patience and persistence are your best tools. You learn and improve through every challenge. Shortcuts often avoid these lessons, leaving you unprepared for future obstacles. Long-term thinkers embrace challenges because they know these moments build strength and wisdom. When you resist shortcuts, you're investing in yourself. You're telling your mind and body that you're serious about growth. This investment pays off in the form of confidence, resilience, and lasting achievement. You build a foundation that can support bigger dreams and higher goals. Quick wins might feel good temporarily, but they don't prepare you for sustained success. The decision to think long-term requires constant practice. Every day you face choices that test your patience. Every time you resist the urge to shortcut, you strengthen your ability to stay committed. These small decisions add up to a powerful mindset that stays focused on lasting success instead of quick rewards. You're building a future that is stable and fulfilling. That future requires you to respect the process, trust the timeline, and honor your goals above momentary feeling. You choose discipline over distraction. You choose growth over comfort. When emotions push for shortcuts, remind yourself that your dreams deserve your best effort, your full attention, and your long-term commitment. Thinking long-term is not just a strategy. It's a mindset that transforms how you approach every challenge. It turns frustration into fuel, impatience into perseverance, and shortcuts into stepping stones. You learn to value progress over speed and substance over surface. This mindset creates a life of purpose and achievement far beyond what shortcuts could ever offer. Your ability to think long-term shapes your path to success. It protects you from impulsive decisions that undermine your goals. It keeps you steady when emotions want to derail you. It positions you to build something meaningful, lasting, and powerful. The choice to think long-term in the face of emotional pressure is one of the most important decisions you can make on your journey. Number 10. Act with purpose instead of emotional impulse. Every day, countless decisions are made, not with clear thought, but as reactions to feelings. When you act based on emotional impulse, you lose control over your direction. Your choices become unpredictable, driven by temporary states like anger, fear, excitement, or frustration. Acting with purpose means pausing before you move, assessing what you truly want, and choosing actions that align with your values and goals. Purposeful action is deliberate, planned, and consistent. Unlike the chaos of impulsive reactions, impulse can feel urgent. When emotions flare, the brain seeks quick responses, sometimes without fully considering consequences. This urgency often leads to mistakes or actions you later regret. Acting on impulse is like driving blindfolded. You might move fast, but you don't know where you're going. Purpose acts like a clear map, guiding your decisions toward meaningful outcomes. It grounds your behavior in logic and intention rather than passing moods. Purpose forces you to slow down. In the moments when emotions push you to react immediately, taking a breath and reflecting can change everything. Ask yourself, does this action support my long-term goals? Am I responding or just reacting? When you make this a habit, you create a mental space between feeling and action. That space gives you the power to choose wisely rather than being controlled by emotion. Living with purpose requires clarity about what matters most. If you know your priorities and values, it's easier to decide which actions align with them. Purpose shines a light on your path, helping you avoid distractions and stay focused. Without purpose, you risk chasing every emotion that comes your way, leading to wasted energy and directionless effort. Purpose connects your actions to your bigger picture. Impulse often leads to decisions driven by short-term gratification. Maybe you want instant relief from stress or a quick burst of happiness. These quick fixes rarely serve your long-term well-being. Purposeful action prioritizes sustained growth over fleeting pleasure. It chooses what is beneficial in the long run, even when it feels harder in the moment. This mindset builds resilience and keeps you moving forward, regardless of emotional ups and downs. When you act with purpose, your behavior becomes predictable and reliable. Others learn they can count on you because your actions aren't ruled by unpredictable feelings. This builds trust in your relationships, both personal and professional. Purposeful people inspire confidence because they show consistency and integrity. Acting on impulse, by contrast, creates instability and confusion. Purpose also helps you manage stress and conflict better. When faced with difficult situations, emotions often rise quickly. Impulsive reactions can escalate problems or damage relationships. Purpose encourages you to pause, consider the consequences, and respond thoughtfully. This approach leads to better outcomes and less regret. It allows you to maintain control even in challenging moments. Building the habit of acting with purpose requires practice. Start by recognizing your emotional triggers. Notice when you feel the urge to react impulsively. Then train yourself to pause and reflect. Use simple techniques like counting to 10, taking deep breaths, or writing down your thoughts before deciding how to act. Over time, these practices strengthen your self-control and improve decision-making. Another key part is setting clear goals and intentions every day. When you know what you want to achieve, your actions naturally become more focused. Intentions act like a compass, keeping you aligned with your purpose. When emotions try to sway you, your intentions remind you of your path. This daily habit builds momentum and discipline, making purposeful action easier. Purposeful action also involves accepting responsibility. When you act impulsively, it's easy to blame your feelings or external events for mistakes. Acting with purpose means owning your decisions, even when they're hard. This ownership gives you power. It moves you from victimhood to leadership over your own life. You become the author of your story, not a passenger tossed around by emotion. Sometimes emotions can provide valuable information. They highlight what's important or what needs attention. Acting with purpose doesn't mean ignoring feelings, but using them wisely. Acknowledge your emotions. Understand what they tell you. Then decide how best to respond. This balanced approach strengthens emotional intelligence and helps you navigate life's challenges skillfully. When you develop the discipline to act with purpose, your life becomes more meaningful. You stop wasting time and energy on reactive choices. You build habits that lead to real progress and fulfillment. Purpose transforms how you experience setbacks, obstacles, and successes. It turns every action into a step toward the life you want to live. The journey toward purposeful action isn't always easy. Old habits of impulsive reaction can be strong. You'll face moments of temptation to act without thinking. But each time you choose purpose, you build mental muscle and deepen your control. This growth compounds, making it easier to stay intentional in every area of your life. Your future depends on your ability to act with purpose today. Every purposeful decision strengthens your character, sharpens your focus, and builds momentum. Acting on impulse might offer momentary satisfaction, but it rarely builds lasting success. Purposeful action leads to mastery, peace of mind, and a life directed by your deepest values. You have the ability to change how you respond to your emotions. Instead of letting feelings dictate your behavior, choose to act with awareness and intention. This choice puts you in the driver's seat. You decide the direction of your life. Purpose is the steady hand on the wheel that guides you past distractions and emotional storms. Purpose gives your actions power. It turns simple tasks into meaningful steps toward your dreams. When you act with purpose, you harness the full strength of your mind. You focus your energy where it counts. Your efforts become effective and fulfilling. That's the difference between drifting through life and living with clear direction. Every time you face an emotional impulse, remember that you don't have to follow it blindly. You can pause, reflect, and choose. Acting with purpose is a skill. It can be learned, practiced, and mastered. The more you practice, the more natural it becomes. Over time, purposeful action becomes your default mode, shaping a life of achievement and fulfillment beyond what fleeting feelings could ever create.